Renaissance. You know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance. You know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Congratulations, brother.
And here we go. And here we go. Another episode of the Hangar Hangout, episode 5, I believe it is. And you know what? This is going to be a fun one. The last time I did a mock draft, I think the majority of individuals wanted to actually do stuff like do the trades. They wanted to see a full 7-round mock draft. And we only did a first round mock draft. It was me and Dom C. But tonight, I'm bringing on a special guest who has been watching film and tape about how the New York Jets can improve since like January. Honestly, knowing Mike, he's probably been doing this since like November or December, right? So he's finally was able to go ahead and compile a list of individuals that the New York Jets should be targeting between rounds 1 and round 7. So without further ado, my co-host for the night, my guy, Mike the Stat Guy. What's up, Mike?
What's going on, Gunny? I'm really glad to be here. I'm honored to be here. Can't wait to talk Jets draft with you, with everybody here tonight. It's that wonderful time of year again here, so I'm really excited, really pumped up for this.
Yeah, man. Listen, you and I, we chop it up like every day. We're always talking to in our text thread, and we've had conversations about what the New York Jets need to do or should do since Rodgers went down, right? We started talking about, okay, well, next season, what are we going to do to go ahead and make this team better?
Right.
And I've loved a lot of your thought process, a lot of your theories. I love the amount of effort and time you put into studying some of these particular players. So without further ado, it's going to be your show tonight, man. I'm going to be here pretty much controlling the PowerPoint and the backdrop. But you've done the research, you've done the work. And so again, yeah, if you got any, you ready, or should we wait a little bit first? I see.
No,
I'm in the chat already.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm honored. Like I said, I'm ready to go, and I'm just a fan of the show, and honored to be here and be able to talk about the Jets, my favorite team, obviously. And yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
All right, brother. Okay, so boom, tonight's draft is going to be pretty much done via again the wonderful app that I believe is pretty great. Is NFL Draft Buzz. Draft Buzz is what I've been using as of late. A lot of individuals either like it or hate it, but for me, I think it's pretty awesome, and it's a little bit different from what you usually see in terms of some of the other ones being used. So obviously, this is going to be a Jets mock draft, so we're going to have the computer pretty much do its thing, right, until we get to our picks. When we get to our picks, we're going to go ahead, make the decision on whether or not we want to go with a trade, want to trade back, trade up, whatever the case might be. And, we'll take it from there. So the draft selection for the Jets, as we can see on the side, round 1, we got the 10th overall pick. Round 3, the 72nd overall pick. Round 4, round 6, round 7. So we got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nope, 7. 7 picks. We got 7 picks. So this should be fun for now. Again, if a trade makes itself available, that just makes sense. We're going to go that route, and we're going to go ahead and obviously entertain the trade. But without further ado, man, I think we should just let's kick this off. So who do you think the first overall pick is going to be?
I don't know. I think Marvin Harrison. No, I'm just kidding. The first overall pick is. I mean, in this scenario, you never know because it's mock draft. But right. In reality, it's going to be Caleb Williams. But you never really could tell with these mock drafts. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, let's do the thing. Okay, first and foremost, thank you, Johnny, One Jets Pod, DK, Dano. Man, y'all some real ones. Sorry about the late start, you know what I'm saying? But we're here. Daniel Murphy, I see you in the chat. Johnny Jimenez, I see you in the chat. So let's go ahead and talk NFL draft and see what you guys think of the decisions made here by our guy, Mike the Stat Guy.
By the way, Dano, I'm wearing Eric Decker color rush jersey, number 87. All right, so we got...
Oof. I'm gonna pause it when it gets to our pick.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Paul. Okay. All right. Let me minimize this first. All right. So we're gonna pause the draft. We're gonna look at it, and with the first overall pick, obviously Chicago decided to go with the Caleb Williams. You got Washington that went Marvin Harrison Jr. second overall. Okay. Mm-hmm. Malik Neighbors to the Patriots. Not sure I like that. Not a fan of that at all. Malik Neighbors is definitely a weapon going to the hated New England Patriots. We got Joe Alt, an Arizona Cardinal. Brock Bowers.
Mhm.
Wow, he's a Charger. That's pretty early on.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that at all. We've got Jaden Daniels with the 6th pick to the Giants. Fashanu 7th pick to the Tennessee
Ooh.
Titans. Wow. Okay, this is about to get interesting for you, man.
Yeah, this is like worst case scenario here.
This is the nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
Got Drake May to the Falcons at 8. Rome Odunze right before our pick for the Chicago Bears. They give Caleb Williams a number 1 option at wide receiver, and that brings the New York Jets to pick 10.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers is off the board. Odunze is off the board. Fashanu is off the board. Those are all individuals that I believe were in some capacity or another wired to be a New York Jet, and now we don't have them as an option. So what do we do, Mike? How does this team get better? Do you want
Yeah.
trades?
Yeah, Gunny. Honestly, this is worst case scenario here because the top guys that all us Jets fans have been, pounding the table for the past few months are gone here. So we don't have an Odunze here. We don't have Bowers for those Bowers boys or Bowers bros. We don't have him anymore, right? We don't have Fashanu. So why don't we go ahead and see what offers we have in store for us? Maybe there might be 1 or 2 good ones. I'm not a fan of trading down in this spot, but again, this is worst case scenario and it's playing out like this. So let's see what kind of offers we have here.
All right. So I'm going to try to make this bigger. There we go. All right. So open the offers. So we got 4 trade offers to consider. First one from the Rams. We would get pick 19.
Okay. That's nice.
That's not bad. Round 1, pick 19.
Yeah, that's not trending down too far. Okay.
No, it's not. Round 2, pick 52.
Okay.
Round 6, pick 213. Round 2 next year. Whew, man.
Second next year. All right.
Yeah. And then we're talking about round 4, 2025.
That, to be honest, man, that is kind of enticing, especially since all of our guys are gone. Unless we want to go with the Dallas Turner here, but I don't think we should do that.
I like this one a lot. If I'm being honest,
I like that. Yeah.
So okay, that's what the other ones are before we make a decision.
Yep.
We got the Giants offering us pick 50.
The Giants.
Yeah.
And they're offering trash anyway. Looks like.
Yeah, they are offering trash. Next offer, the Vikings.
Ooh.
Pick 11.
One pick down.
Yeah. We would also recoup another. I'll say round 4. We get pick 8 in round 4. That's not bad. Round 4 again, pick 29. And then next year we get a 3rd and a 4th. Bro. Okay, that
is nice.
That's really nice. Okay, we have another one.
Yep.
Oh, Seahawks. That one I don't.
Well, this one's nice too.
That one.
To 16. That's actually not bad.
That's not bad. And then another 3rd rounder.
And another 3rd. Ooh.
Man.
I'm liking the Seahawks one, to be honest. Either I
Really?
mean, the in reality, if this was real life, going down 1 slot from the Viking, take the Vikings. In real life, I probably would take that one.
Okay.
But the reason why I'm saying trade down to either 16 with the Seahawks or trade down to what was it? The who was the first one?
11.
Or no, there was one other one, right?
The Rams.
The Rams at 19. There's actually a couple players in particular I'm thinking of that we could potentially take here.
Okay.
But I think we might. I don't know. I'll let you decide on this one. I think we should choose between the Rams or the Seahawks there.
Okay, so between this one or the Seahawks.
That's what I would do. Yeah.
Man, okay. You think the Seahawks one is better than 2 4th rounders?
In real life, I definitely the Vikings. Us moving down 1 spot would be good, but I just don't see. I want to try to keep it as realistic as possible. Okay. But if it was real life and I was the actual GM, then I would probably take the Vikings trade.
So this is more realistic. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and go down to pick 16. And we'll also recoup a 3rd.
All right, let's do it then.
All right. Accept trade. There goes Latu.
So we missed that.
There goes Dallas Turner. There goes Latham.
Latham's gone.
Newton's gone. Oh, Byron Murphy's gone. All right.
Okay.
So now we're
more
at pick
trades.
16, and nope, not helping the Chiefs. I'm sorry, can't do it.
Yeah, no, screw that. Screw them.
Yeah, pass. Ravens pick 30 and Roquan Smith.
No, we're good. We got Mosley and we're good at linebacker for
now. Pick 20, round 2. Nope, we're out of the first round completely. Yep, I'm not taking any of these. So the Lions offer would be round 2. Yep.
Let's see who we got on the board left. All right, so we got Jared Verse, Talise Fuaga there, or Funga, depending on how people pronounce it.
Or pronounce it.
You got Arnold. We have Mitchell. Let's see. I'm curious. Let's go to wide receiver and see if Brian Thomas Jr. is available.
He still is there. He's there.
Okay. Hear me out, right?
All right.
I know that we have been linked with Talise Fuaga now. An offensive lineman here in the top 10 in the first round for so long. But I see this now, especially now that we got that trade and some guys that I see in the mid rounds that can really make an impact on the offensive line here. And we should be seeing it here in the near future. I just think that – go ahead.
So pretty much it sounds like you're talking about either Fuaga and I'm going to assume – hold on here. Let me pull this up for us. Did all this work. Might as well freaking use it.
Yeah.
Okay, boom. Share that. So this is the Fuaga tape. So talk about Fuaga a little bit. What you like about this kid?
All right, so Talise Fuaga, right? 6'6", 324 pounds from Oregon State. He's probably the safest right tackle in the draft. He's plug and play. He'll probably play at a high level for years to come. He excels in the run game. So it'd be Breece Hall, his biggest friend and ally. He's solid in the pass blocking game. He could be a Pro Bowl caliber right tackle and eventually be an average left tackle. He did phenomenal at the combine. We've been linked to him for such a long time. But as you see here, he's on the right side there, number 75. Once he anchors down and once he gets his feet in the dirt there, you're not going to be able to go, get around him. He's really is that good. Talise Fuaga, is a plug and play right tackle. The only problem is that even though he's a plug and play right tackle, let's say something happens to Tyron Smith or whatnot, he might not be able to play left tackle, especially at a high level at this point in his career. So Fuaga to me would be a fantastic pick here at plug and play. But, I really do think that we should consider Brian Thomas Jr. as well, even though we might not have the clip for him, but I can just, talk about him a little bit as well. So we don't have the clip for Brian Thomas Jr., but he's 6'3", 209 pounds.
We do. I figured it out.
We figured. Okay, we got it. All right.
Yep. All right. Window.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. So like I said, Brian Thomas Jr., 6'3", 209 pounds, wide receiver from LSU. He very well could be the third best receiver in this class, and that includes over Rome Odunze. He has incredible ball tracking skills. Deep ball is his specialty, as you see from the clip here. He is a dog when it comes to his elite speed, his 4.3 speed, his catch radius, his catching ability is second to none. Like I said, he ran a 4.3 at the combine. He scored 17 touchdowns this past year, leading all of college football. And one big thing about him is that Aaron Rodgers would absolutely love this guy. He is a perfect scheme fit for us. Let's say we have like a Garrett Wilson in the slot, being able to be that route technician. This guy, Brian Thomas Jr., and I know a lot of guys might not want him so high, in that 10 to where are we picking now, the 16 range.
16th
but I'm telling you guys, this guy right here, Brian Thomas Jr., I would not be shocked if he goes top 15. He is that good. The only negative thing is that he's a boomer bust type player. So he could be one of the best players in the NFL year 1, year 2, because of his technique and what he does and the ability to just burn past people and be able to catch the ball down the field. However, he is a one-trick pony. He's not going to be doing a lot of, slants. He's not going to be doing a lot of, hitch routes, things like that. He's not going to be doing a lot of route running. So he's going to be pretty much that burner screaming down the sideline, going for that big play virtually every single time. But that's okay. It's all right to be a one-trick pony, especially in your first year. This guy is an absolute beast. I think that this guy right here would be phenomenal for the New York Jets at this pick.
All right. So with all that being said, who's the pick?
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, wide receiver, the 16th overall pick.
All right. Boom. So there goes Verse, Fatanu, McCarthy, Robinson, Fuaga, Wiggins, Mitchell, Arnold, Barton, Bo Nix. Okay.
Oh, Bo Nix. Wow.
Xavier Legette. I was expecting him to go higher than that. Amarius Mims to the Chiefs, of course. Powers Johnson falls to the second round.
That could actually happen.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of times, Gunny, is that we have these like top centers every single year that potentially could be in the first round. But if we look last year, we had a couple of guys like even Joe Tippmann was potentially a first rounder, and he went in the second round too. So I think
true.
I wouldn't be shocked, let's say, if he were to be picked in the first couple picks of the second round. Let's just say that.
Wow. Okay. Man. Lad McConkey
Oh, no.
got picked.
Haynes got picked. It's my boy.
That was somebody you had your eye on? He went to Buffalo.
No worries. Don't worry. There's more. Don't worry.
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
All right. And we are back on the clock. At this point, it's the third round, right? Pick 72. You've still got, two of my favorite wide receivers are still available. Kind of surprising, really, to see them there. But what's your mindset at? Where do you think at this particular juncture should we be looking at?
Yeah, so in particular right now, I see that, obviously we just took Brian Thomas Jr. So right from the get-go, I think that he is our number 3 wide receiver, like right off the jump. Okay. And he potentially could be, depending on how fast Mike Williams can come back from that injury, Brian Thomas Jr. could potentially be our number 2 wide receiver, in the first few weeks of the year. So we'll see. But let's say we got number 1 and number 2 receiver locked down there. And, Joe Douglas did a fantastic job with addressing our holes at tackle, as well as the left guard spot there. However, we do need to see what we have going on in terms of the offensive line, because those guys that he brought in, 2 of them are only on 1-year deals. The Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, who he brought back, who's fantastic, by the way, but they're only there for 1 year. So we need to make sure that we have depth, and we also play on the MetLife turf, so we know how that goes in terms of injuries. So we want to make sure that we're setting up our offensive line and our team for success here, and let's see what we got going on for the offensive line. So I can't believe Patrick Paul is there this late in the game, and we got Van Pran, we got Dominic Pooney, Christian Mahogany. Those are all fantastic players. In fact, we have tape for all of them. So if you want to, we have it for Patrick Paul and Dominic Pooney rather. So if you want to pull up some tape for both of them and see what we got.
Let's kick off Patrick Paul first.
Yeah, Patrick Paul. All right. I can't believe he fell that.
He's
that
still
much.
here.
That was phenomenal.
All right. Let's talk about Patrick
Paul.
All
right, guys. All right, let's talk about Patrick Paul. So right off the rip, he's 6'8", 331 pounds. He's a big boy from the University of Houston. He's quite an anomaly at the tackle position. He can be a day 1 right tackle starter or a solid depth piece in year 1, like I was saying about the Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith situation. If they get injured, potentially throughout the year, he might be able to be a plug and play player there at any one of those tackle spots and be able to be solid there. He has a very high ceiling, in my opinion, but his floor is pretty low. And I'm assuming the reason why he slid so much is because of the low floor that he has, making him a boomer bust prospect. He has good, solid technique, as you see here, and he's on the right side of your screen there. Good solid technique in the pass play and the run blocking schemes. He doesn't have great bend, so that's going to be a bit of a liability against twitchy speed rush guys. But yeah, I think Patrick Paul is very solid. Would be a solid pick here. He'd be able to get the job done. So that's the first guy up.
And then you said Dominic Puni?
Dominic Puni, yep. Or Dominic, rather. Okay, so Dominic Puni, right? He's 6'5", 313 pounds. And the big thing about him, guys, is that he's pretty much a jack of all trades. He can play at any position on the offensive line. Now, that might sound amazing. Like, oh my gosh, he could play every single position. That sounds great. However, he's not like a master technician at one position. However, he will be able to be good or decent at all the positions. He's just not going to be great at one. So just keep that in mind, right? He performed really well at the Senior Bowl. These are all Senior Bowl clips here. As you see, he's doing one-on-ones, against these defensive linemen here. But one of the negative things here, like I said, he's not really great at one thing. So he's not going to just be a plug and play guy right off the rip. He's going to have to learn the ropes a little bit. He's going to have to sit behind guys like obviously Elijah Vera Tucker. He's going to have to sit, or at least at the very least, compete against John Simpson, who we brought in at left guard. But I will say this: if we were to draft this young man right here in the third round, I think he would be fantastic at that guard position. And like I said, he can play center as well. So if Tippmann were to go down, God forbid, he would be able to come in and be serviceable. I know we're still working on Connor McGovern's deal, but let's say we didn't sign him. This guy would be fantastic for that third round pick here.
Okay, awesome. And then you said tape on Christian Mahogany?
Mahogany, yep. That's the third guy here. All right, guys. So Christian Mahogany, he's 6'3", 314 pounds, goes to Boston College, or went to Boston College, rather. He's a solid guard that plays with aggression in the run game. He has good pass blocking technique, as you'll see in the clip here. And he can be a year 2 starter, or even compete with John Simpson at guard in year 1, potentially. He's a low floor guy that will adapt to the NFL very quickly. And then but the only knock I have on him really is that he might be a little too aggressive when it comes to the run blocking, to his run blocking. That might result in some whiffs. But nonetheless, he is solid. I think he would be a great fit for us. If you take a look at this past season's free agency, when it comes to the interior, like the top interior guys, most of the top interior guys getting paid have been drafted in like the 2nd to 6th round. So we can definitely get guys here in the 3rd round here, the 4th round here, and be able to rely on them going forward. Maybe not this year, but for sure next year and the year, in the following years. Because that's one thing that the Jets haven't really been able to do, is draft guys like these and be able to develop them and be able to have them start after their 1st or 2nd year. So Dominic Puni, again, as you're watching the clips here, he's very well. He's pretty good against the run, pretty good against the pass, and he's got a low floor, which is phenomenal.
All right. So then, with that analysis being put out there, who would be the pick?
All right. So with this pick, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say I'm gonna go ahead and draft Patrick Paul to be our right tackle of the future, potentially left tackle, but as of right now, the right tackle of the future. Sit behind Morgan Moses, let him learn. God forbid he gets injured this season, then he'll be able to step in. But let's just draft Patrick Paul, be able to sit him for a year and get him going next year when Morgan Moses potentially doesn't return.
Patrick Paul it is. Boom. All right. And then we're at, it's flying now. Polk. Yeah, see, now we're talking about, this is why, I'm saying I got you here, bro, because I know you've done the research and dug deep into these later round prospects. Thank you. Okay, boom. So now we're at round 3, pick 81. What you got for us?
It's funny. I can't believe those guys are still there. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and address the O-line again, because in my opinion, I think that's what we should really focus on in the draft, right? We're already pretty much stacked on defense. Maybe there be a couple prospects in a little bit here. that can really help us out on defense this year. But there aren't many players this year, or even next year if we draft them, that are going to contribute too much to the defense. Not as much as if we draft the potential replacements for the offense here. So could you just change the? Yeah, go ahead.
Before we pick, we got a question from Dano. Dano asked us, okay, can we tell him if we're going to keep, is DJ Reed returning in 2025 or not before we make this selection?
And we're picking, what is this, 81 right now?
81, correct.
Yeah. So if I'm the GM, if I'm the assistant GM, I'm locking him up at least for 2 more years, right? Which includes this season. So I want DJ Reed here this year. Obviously, he's playing this year, but I want him here for next year, 2025 and 2026. So I'm pretty much trying to get a deal done now to make sure that he's here. However, Dano, I will say that there are some guys in the future rounds that I really do want to keep an eye on for us, and I'm going to talk about a couple of them in particular in a couple rounds probably, that I think can really either replace DJ Reed going forward, down the road, or have a potential to come in if he gets hurt, God forbid. So, but we'll see.
All right. So is there anybody's tape you want me to pull up from this group?
Yeah. Can we go to the all tab real quick? I just want to see, even though we have really good offensive linemen still available, and we're probably going to go that way. All right. So we got Cade Stover, tight end, Mike Sainristil, cornerback. Sainristil did really well at the combine. Marshawn Nealon, defensive end, is really good. However, it's not as a position of need right now. We might be able to address that a little later on. Can we scroll down just a little bit more? Let's see who else. Sure. Austin Booker. Yeah, Caden Bullock. Yeah. So right off, this name is just popping out at me, guys, and that is Dominic Pooney, the guy that we were talking about from Kansas. And I just think that, even though he's not going to be able to come in from day one, I think year 2, or if someone gets injured, I really do think that he's going to be able to step in and be able to perform at a solid level and be able to give us kind of a, that insurance policy. So I'm going to go ahead and draft Dominic Pooney here.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here, right? So an opportunity to throw a weapon, I think, at our guy Aaron Rodgers, somebody you and I have both talked about religiously. Malik Washington is still here.
You know what?
I don't know if he falls to the 4th round. I love me some Malik Washington. You love Malik Washington. The fact that he's even still here right now this late in the 3rd is surprising to me. Would you consider potentially adding another weapon for our guy Aaron Rodgers?
You know what? I'm actually really happy you just said that. Let's go ahead and pull up Malik Washington's tape here. Yeah, this is for you, and then this is also for Green Bean if he's watching, because I know Green Bean loves him some Malik Washington. All right, so Malik Washington, 5'8", 191 pounds, wide receiver from Virginia. He's quite small in stature, but he's a complete dynamite, right? He plays like he's 6'2", as you see here on this pass. Look at him, like he just goes up, gets the ball. Not very small, but he plays big. He had higher vertical and broad jumps than guys almost a foot taller than him at the combine. He absolutely crushed the combine. He's an impeccable route runner, and he could be very deadly in the slot. So he has very soft hands and can catch in traffic. Of course, he's got a stocky build, and he can really take a beating. So he's not going to be one of those guys where you're afraid that he's going to get hurt because he's small. He is stocky. He's got a lot of muscle on him, right? So he's going to be just fine taking those NFL hits. As you watch these clips, guys, there's one NFL player that comes to mind when I see this guy, and that is Tyreek Hill. Now, he's not Tyreek Hill speed, and I'm not saying that he's going to be Tyreek Hill. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, he has very like Tyreek Hill tendencies, and he plays very similar to him. His elusiveness is incredible. Yep. And his tenacity, his aggressiveness, and his ability to just take hits and just get the job done is tremendous. So
he plays
that's what I mean.
Than his size. He plays way
bigger than his size. Way bigger than his size, for sure. Now he could potentially be a plug and play number 3 wide receiver, and it's actually really good that you mentioned it, Gunny. Thanks for pretty much saving the draft here, because I didn't even see him on here until you scroll down a little more and you mentioned it. So I'm 100% taking Malik Washington here. He's going to come in. He's going to be our number 3 wide receiver right out the rip. He has the potential to be even number 2 one day. But we have Garrett Wilson now. we have Brian Thomas Jr., and we have Malik Washington. Like, this draft is getting crazy. This is going to be fantastic if we get all these guys. So I'm drafting him 100%.
Let's go. One of my draft favorites is a Jet. That just made my day.
Let's go.
All right. So I think our next pick doesn't show up again until the 4th round. Man, your guy's still there, man.
Is he really?
Pooney is still there. Yeah, he hasn't been drafted yet.
And he's 88 overall, it says, to this.
There he goes.
There he goes. Okay.
That pick 99.
You know what? It's fine because there's probably even more. There are some offensive linemen still available, I think.
Yeah, I see Christian Mahogany still there.
Right. And again, we're going into the later rounds, guys, where we have to tamper our expectations here. So we're not going to, magically find all-stars most likely day one with these picks.
Now gambling on upside. This is all upside gambling at this point.
Absolutely.
Right. Got 3 trade offers for our current pick 111. The Eagles offering 3/5. All this year? Is that right?
Well, they have that many 5th-round picks.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's all. That's all this year.
Yeah.
whoever they want somebody real bad.
They're offering them all up. So that's literally, that would drop us about 60 picks. And then you've got Jacksonville Jaguars offering round 4 pick 14.
14. What are we at right now? We're at 111? Oh, so we're only going down 3 spots?
3 spots.
Okay.
Then we would also recoup a 6th, a 7th, and a 7th next year. Then the Ravens would give us 113 and a 6 for next year.
Okay. Yeah, I want picks this year because I think we want to go all in this year. So, but I do like, between you and I, Gunny, I do like that Jaguars. Or I'm sorry, was it the Jaguars? Yeah, the Jaguars one. I do like that Jaguars selection. But can we just check to see who's available on the board right now?
Sure thing. All right. Currently on the board we have Christian Mahogany, Jalen McMillan.
Mahogany.
Yeah, we don't need receiver at this point. Running back, Cam Hart, Allen.
We got a couple decent running backs. Yeah. But can I just say something real quick about the running back position?
Sure thing.
I would be surprised if we were to invest in the running back position in the mid to late rounds here in this draft. I really do think that the Jets are going to stick with Breece Hall. We got Izzy Abanikanda from last year that we drafted, and then I do think that we're going to bring in another veteran to be that number 2 running back. That's kind of like the feeling that I have. I think we're going to bring in a veteran because there are still guys available. I think like Kareem Hunt's still available, I believe. He's coming off injury, and I probably wouldn't want him, but like J.K. Dobbins, that might be available still. Ezekiel Elliott's still available. So I do think that we're probably going to go in the veteran pool for a running back. I just wanted to add that.
Okay.
All right. So, So we have Blake Fisher available too. Okay. So let's recap real quick. We got Brian Thomas Jr. So we solidified our number 2 receiver.
Correct.
We got Patrick Paul. We solidified our future right tackle, possibly even this year if, God forbid something happens to Morgan Moses. So we're covered there. Malik Washington probably steps right in and is the number 3 wide receiver. So we're doing pretty well. So I'm thinking here we probably should go with another lineman on the interior.
All right.
Preferably. Can we scroll up? Perfect. Christian Mahogany is available.
Yep.
Like I was saying, we watched the tape already. Christian Mahogany, I think, would be a fantastic pick all the way down here at what are we at? We're at
111.
We're at 111, and he's ranked number 90 according to NFL Draft Buzz. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Christian Mahogany here. He's going to be our future guard. I don't know which guard spot, but he's going to be our future guard, and he's going to be quality depth right here in year 1. So I'm going to grab Christian Mahogany.
All right. Christian Mahogany is a Jet. So what I'm going to ask you to do now, real quick for me, Mike, I need to step away for 1 second, right? We're at the halfway point right now of the draft. Just do a quick recap of these individuals and the impact it can potentially have for us as Jets, as Jets fans, and I'll be right back.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, so let's do another recap here. So Brian Thomas Jr., we drafted him. We traded down with the Seahawks, I believe, from 10 to 16. We drafted him. He's going to come right in. He's going to be our number 2 wide receiver. We don't really know how Mike Williams is going to come back from that injury. Obviously, we're hoping for the best, but we don't want to expect the best. We want to hope for the best. So we drafted him to be our number 2 wide receiver of the future. And then with our second pick, which was the third round here at pick 72, Patrick Paul, the right tackle, has fallen all the way down to us, right into our laps. So we went ahead and we picked him up to be our future right tackle. Morgan Moses only signed a 1-year deal with us. Even though he's been phenomenal with us before, I have no doubt in my mind that he will play relatively well this year. I think he's going to stay healthy, and be able to hold that right side down. However, Patrick Paul is a very good investment. I think Patrick Paul is going to step in next year and be able to be plug and play at that right tackle spot, or if Morgan Moses goes down this year. And then in round 3, I was going to accidentally draft Dominic Pooney to be our interior offensive lineman as an investment piece. But Gunny reminded me that Malik Washington was still on the board. So he went ahead and grabbed him. So not only were we able to grab our number 2 wide receiver in this draft, in this mock draft, but we were able to grab our number 3 wide receiver. So now our wide receiver room is looking like Garrett Wilson as number 1. Number 2, we have Brian Thomas Jr., and he'll be able to take the top off of defenses, right? He'll be that guy screaming down the sideline. I was going to put Garrett in the slot, but we got Malik Washington now at number 3. So Malik Washington can be our slot guy. So now those 3 guys on the field at the same time make me feel a heck of a lot better than I did before this mock draft. Because if, let's say, we don't get a receiver in this draft, or a formidable receiver in this draft, and we go out there with Garrett Wilson, who is phenomenal. However, if we go out there and he gets injured, God forbid, then who are we relying on? We're going to be relying on Mike Williams, who already has injury concerns, which very well could be a good receiver, which I'm expecting him to be productive this year. But we don't know exactly where he is, along the lines of his recovery. And then who else we have? We have Alan Lazard, which we already know what happened last year with Alan Lazard. So we can't really trust Alan Lazard to come back and play at a high level, or be that number 2 guy, or if Garrett Wilson goes down, that number 1 guy. So we can't count on him. We have Xavier Gibson, X, right, who did pretty well last year. But again, he's an undrafted free agent in year 2. Even though he is a decent receiver, we can't depend on him to be a top 3 receiver, at least this stage in his career. So we have those top 3, or we have our top 3 receivers now, which is phenomenal. We have Patrick Paul to be a plug and play at right tackle in the future. And then in round 4, we were able to pick up Christian Mahogany at interior offensive lineman here. He's going to be able to come in next year and either be our starting left guard or starting right guard, depending on where AVT plays in the future. So I really do think we have a lot of flexibility here with these next upcoming picks. But we're doing really well here, in the draft so far. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions so far about the draft, or any questions on why I made those picks?
Mike, I don't want to see. Put the clothes back on. Wait, I don't know what's going on with this one. I might have missed something. Something about you taking off the clothes.
No, I didn't take my.
YouTube is bugging hard tonight.
That's fine.
That's the second time I've heard this. Like, YouTube apparently has been buggy all night. I don't know what's going on with it. It's been an issue for about the last several hours. So it sounds like some individuals are having some of those issues still.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then now the Jets are at pick 135. As you stated, we've got Brian Thomas Jr., we've got Patrick Paul, Malik Washington, Christian Mahogany. Love the breakdowns of those individuals. So what's the move? What's the move here at pick 135?
All right, 135. So we got, let's see. We got some offensive linemen here available. Oh, that's because we're in the offense. Can we go to the all tab here real quick? Let's see who we got. Okay. And we are in round 4, right? Late round 4. Pick 135 we're at.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, perfect. This is a toss-up here because I want to address Dano's question. Remember when Dano asked about DJ Reed?
Yes.
There's
correct.
a guy. Yeah, there's a guy that I'm thinking of that could potentially be DJ Reed's replacement one day, but I don't know if right here at this pick is the right time. because our next pick is in round 6, right? Or did we gain another pick somehow? I forget one of the trades. Yeah, I think our next pick is round 6.
I believe you're right. Let's see, round 5. Yep, our
But
next pick is round 6.
At any rate, we can still look at his tape. If we go to if you click on the DB tab, Gunny.
Yeah. So who do you want to look at?
Yeah, so let's look at Kamal Haddon, cornerback.
All right. And here we go.
All right, guys. So here we have Kamal Haddon. He's 6'1", 196. Plays for the Tennessee, or plays for Tennessee rather. He performed really well at the combine. He pretty much stole the show. He really popped out at me. That's how I really noticed who he was when I was watching the combine. He plays mainly in zone coverage and rarely lets big plays happen against him. That's one of kind of our mantras as Jets, as the Jets defense, is we don't like allowing big plays to happen. And this guy, I'm telling you, can really help out in that regard. So like I said, he plays really well in the zone, which is what we run. He's not the fastest guy, but he uses his intelligence and size to make plays, right? Like I said, he's 6'1", 196. And then he could be a perfect fit or a perfect replacement this year for Bryce Hall. We lost him at cornerback for that depth piece. And then one day, what I'm hoping for is that we can replace DJ Reed, let's say 2 to 3 years down the road. I think this guy can really come in and be able to take over that role in the future here and kind of be that next man up and be that number 2 cornerback one day. As you see here on the tape, he that wasn't his man, by the way. He was in zone. He came along, he knocked that ball out, which is phenomenal. Right here, you're going to see him make a high IQ play, be able to grab that interception, make some moves. His field awareness is just tremendous, guys. It really is. The fact that I think is ranked 186 right now or 168, something like that. He really should be kind of closer to the top 100 in my opinion. So I do think that this guy is going to have a pretty decent career in the NFL. Is he going to be a number 1 cornerback? Probably not, but I do think that he could be a number 2 cornerback one day pretty soon here. So I really do like Kamal Haddon a lot.
So I'm assuming that's the pick here then.
Yeah, let's see who else do we have available?
Let's take a look. All right.
I mean, Kamal Haddon might be available in round 6, but the thing is do we really want to
risk it?
Do we really want to risk it, right? And then another guy too. Can we click on Charles Smith Wade? I don't have tape on him. Can we click on his profile real quick?
Sure.
I want to see if this is the guy. Yeah. So this guy right here, even though he's ranked higher, he's a little bit, undersized in my opinion. 5'10", 184. Right. He's not the prototypical size that me personally like to have in my defense. I know DJ Reed isn't the biggest guy either, but I do think Kamal Haddon might be a better fit for our defense. And the big fella mentioned something really good here. He said the reason why Kamal Haddon was because of his shoulder injury. The reason why he's sliding so much. Yeah, that could be a big factor too. And the same thing happened to Bryce Hall. I think he was supposed to be like a second round pick.
Yeah, the hip injury. Yep.
Yeah, so this pick with Kamal Haddon, if we take him, this wouldn't be. We're not banking on him starting anytime soon. I'm hoping we don't start him for another 2 or 3 years. Once DJ Reed gets a little bit older, and he's pretty much done with us, or in the NFL in general. So I don't know.
Hey,
what do you think, Bunny?
Sorry about this, gentlemen, but today is my daughter's birthday. She wanted to go ahead and say what's up. She just wanted to flaunt that she turned 14 years old today. She's getting old and wanted you guys to say what's up. She's also the only Jets fan I have in this house. Oh yeah. My other kids were gifted to the wife won them in our marital bet of whichever team was doing well during the year of their birth. That person would win the child's fandom. I have my firstborn, and the rest are all Packers fans. So this is the only other Jets fan in the house. She wanted to say what's up to you guys. It's her birthday, so appreciate you guys giving her a shout out. You're getting some.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Holy moly!
Mike said happy birthday.
Thank you, Mike.
She said thank you, Mike.
It's gonna be the Jets' birthday soon too in about 9 days.
I know. I can't wait.
Where are they seated?
They're all in the place. They can see us in the camera
Bro, why can't I see them?
because it's not your birthday. This is
Why can't I see them?
This is a special.
that's because it's only me and Mike, and then there's a bunch of people in the chat.
W's in the chat.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. Happy birthday, baby. So I think that's the move, man. Like, again, you're talking about an individual who's potentially in your mindset a top 100 talent that's obviously fallen due to the injury per se.
Yeah.
And he could potentially be the guy that fills in this year for a guy like a Hall, and down the road could fill in for a guy like a DJ Reed. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I mean, he could be in a 6th round, but I'm not risking it. Me personally, I would take him. I think he's going to be pretty decent in the NFL one day. So I'm taking that swing, and we can afford to take the swing, you know?
Yeah.
So
this is where we're at right now in the draft. Again, all upside swings.
absolutely.
All right. And draft. All right. And then that's the 5th round. And I think the 6th round as well, we have a pick in the 6th. We don't have one in the 5th.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, yeah, here we go. We've got one, two. We got 3 left. 3 picks left.
3 left. Yeah, one in the 6th, and then
2 in the
okay.
7th.
Yep. Okay. Wonderful.
So in terms of these picks, man, like I love the Malik Washington one. You and I have been talking about this kid for a while, but somebody asked us why we went the Brian Thomas route over on Donnie Mitchell. I saw it earlier and I kind of missed it. I wanted to ask you that question. Why do you think the move here is a guy like a Brian Thomas over a guy like a Donnie Mitchell, who I think is more NFL ready, and you even think is more NFL ready, if I'm not mistaken, but Brian Thomas was the choice.
Yeah, so the reason why I went with Brian Thomas Jr. over a guy like AD Mitchell is because the upside of Brian Thomas Jr. is tremendous. Like I said, this guy can really be the number, in my opinion, he could be the number 3 wide receiver in this draft when it's all said and done. Okay. Now, obviously, if Odunze was on the board, I would pick Odunze, but
100%.
But Brian Thomas Jr., his upside is just too good to pass up. Not only that, but the Bills, I believe, are going to try and come up to get him. So I want to grab him to kind of say like a screw you to the Bills as well. Okay. And Aaron Rodgers, I think Aaron Rodgers and Brian Thomas Jr., their chemistry would be insane. Like the fact that Aaron Rodgers can just throw the ball down the field and we have protection now to be able to do that is just incredible. We cannot pass that up. So I think that's why I went with that pick. Now, is he going to be the number 3 receiver in the draft? I don't know, but I'm just going with upside here. I think that was the pick to be made. And I do think that Brian Thomas Jr. would be a phenomenal pick for us there at 16, maybe not 10, but definitely 16. I think he's going to go top 15, most likely in the next 9 days here when the draft starts. I do think he's going to be that high.
Okay. Well, we got Ryan coming on in about 10 minutes. So we got 3 more picks to make before he gets here.
Awesome.
We got a trade offer here, and I believe it's pretty much next year's 5th. We'll probably pass on that from the Commanders. Next year's 5th from the Cowboys. Next year's 5th from the Steelers. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say we just draft. Unless you think a 5th is worth. Okay.
No, I agree with you 100%, Gunny. Yeah, I would stick and pick here.
All right. So what's the move?
Okay, so here we got some players here. Okay, let's go to the all tab.
All right.
And then okay, so we got some players here. We got Bell, we got McLaurin, Jordan Travis. I see you circling him.
I'm just saying.
So I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this. All right. Okay. I'm going to pass on Jordan Travis. And there's a reason why I'm passing on him for now. And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but in reality, if come next week, the Jets, if he's there, they'll probably take him, especially this late in the game.
Right.
But there's a reason why I'm passing on him. So just keep that in mind over the next few minutes.
Okay.
Can we go ahead and go into the edge tab, Gunny?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see if my guy is still available. It looks like he's not. Jalen Harrell, was he taken?
Jalen Harrell. I didn't
Yeah, it looks like
see
he was
him get
taken.
taken, but I think he's gone. Yeah.
Okay, he's
Yeah,
probably
he's
gone.
not this far down.
Okay, so let's go back to the all tab. Jaheim Bell, Jordan Travis. Okay, you know what? At this time, yeah, let's just go ahead. Let's take Jordan Travis. We've been linked to him. He's he visited the facility this week, so let's just go ahead and take Jordan Travis. Let's sit him behind Aaron Rodgers, and hope for the
Tyrod
best
Taylor.
here.
I mean,
And Tyrod Taylor,
a couple of years behind those guys, I think could go a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, in terms of Jordan, man, like I see there's a lot of hate-love relationship for the kid. It's either you really like what his upside can look like, or you really just dislike him overall. And I think it's just kind of crazy when you look at a team that was pretty much taken out of the playoffs because this man got hurt. The level of hate and discontent. I think that if this is a guy that stayed healthy and takes his team into the playoffs, they're going to make some noise.
Yeah.
But for him to go ahead and be pretty much dismissed as much as he has, I'm kind of surprised, man. What is your take on Jordan? Why do you think there's that hate-love relationship with him?
Yeah. So with the whole, he got injured, right, Jordan Travis?
Correct. Broke his leg.
I just think maybe Jordan Travis. A lot of people are thinking that he's maybe a little bit too raw. That might be the reason why. But scouts are a lot different from one another, and so a lot of people might have him a lot higher. A lot of people might have him a lot lower. Me personally, like I said, I would have passed on him first for someone else later on in the draft at Mr. Irrelevant spot.
Okay.
And I think someone actually mentioned what was the other option that I was thinking about. Can we real quick? I don't want to talk about the quarterback just yet. I want to talk about Jalen Harrell, who was the other guy that I was looking for when I asked for the edge position. Are we able to pull him up? And it's a really short clip here.
Jalen Harrell. I got him.
So for those of you who are pissed off about the whole Bryce Huff situation and him leaving, I'm about to make you guys pretty happy if he were available and we were to draft him in, like, let's say the 6th round, right? So Jalen Harrell here, he's 6'4", 250 pounds, edge rusher from Michigan. He was my favorite player at the NFL Combine. He stood right out to me. I think I texted you in the chat there, Gunny, about him.
You're a big fan.
And I was a huge fan. He reminded me so much of Bryce Huff, especially just watch him. Just watch his motor here. He does not give up. He's going to get you. He's going after you. He plays with tenacity. Never, like I said, never gives up on the play. High motor guy. And he would be able to come in and play about 20 to 30% of the snaps, right off the rip. I know we just got Hassan Reddick, but this guy could be the future. After Hassan Reddick, let's say, plays a couple years, this guy could be like that Bryce Huff type player that we, have a low investment in and be able to develop him. So, and then in terms of the quarterback who I was thinking of was Devin Leary, actually from Kentucky. And, he's a Jersey kid, about 6'1", 215 pounds, about the same size as Caleb Williams. But again, we went with Jordan Travis. Let's stick with Jordan Travis. And, that's all behind us here. What we got? We got right. 2 more picks, right?
We're back-to-back picks to go ahead and close out this draft.
Okay, awesome. So we got, who else we got on the board? Rasheen Ali. I think he got hurt. He was pretty promising there. Let's see. Is Josh Proctor available by any chance? A defensive back from Ohio State. Proctor. He might not be there. Ryan Watts. Okay.
He's gone.
Okay, how about running back? What running backs? I think I saw a couple of them. Rasheen Ali, maybe, like he got hurt. Johnny Jimenez said about something about Anthony Gold. Is he still available? I just want to point something out if he is.
Anthony Gold, running back?
Oh no, he's a receiver, wide receiver. He might not be available. But Johnny, to address your question here, the reason why I'm not as high on Gold, compared to others, is that he's very, very small. And when I say very small, he's like 5'8", 170 pounds. And
wow.
We drafted Malik Washington, who's also 5'8", but Malik Washington is like 190, is almost 200 pounds.
Yeah.
So I'm a little concerned about Gold, even though he's fast, even though he has good hands. I'm a little bit concerned about Gold because of his size. Maybe he could be like a Robbie Anderson type, but even Robbie Anderson was tall. He's like 6'3". So I'm a little concerned about his height, Johnny, if I'm, completely honest. All right, but just for time's sake here, I know, we're wrapping up here. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go to the all tab real quick, Gunny. All right. Can we just scroll down a little bit more?
Sure thing.
Yeah, not too many guys. I mean, in the 7th round, you're not really going to, this is like pretty much you're going, you're swinging for the
Special
fence
teams
here.
guys and guys who make the practice squad.
Okay. Can we scroll down a little bit more? Let's keep going. Yeah. I mean, Ryan Watts. You know what? Watts kind of stands out to me. But let's I'd probably take Watts here because he's pretty. He has a high ceiling. Could be like a depth guy in the future.
Watts.
Oh, if Rico the Pup says I'm a fan of Kamani Vidal.
Kamani Vidal. Is he still here?
I have no idea. I don't even know who that is. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take Watts. Screw it. I'm gonna take Watts. He's gonna develop and hopefully he could be a depth piece guy. He's a cornerback, defensive back.
Okay. Hey Rico, what position does Kamani Vidal play? I mean, this is Mr. Irrelevant, so we can go ahead and leave it to you guys if y'all want to go ahead and draft Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea, Gunny.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Once we got past the 5th round, it was a wrap for me. I was just like, yeah, that's about the extent of as much as that. Running back from Troy.
Oh, okay, running back from Troy.
Okay, here it is. Kamani Vidal.
I like
let's
Troy.
take a look at the profile. Yeah, they built some freaking 5'8", 213.
Does it say his production? Does it say how many yards he had?
Yeah, so
should, right?
Wait, actually, right here. Wow, 1,661 yards.
Oh, okay. I'm sold.
5.6 average. Yeah, 14 rushing touchdowns. Hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I think Rico got it. I think this is gonna be the pick.
Rico.
I don't even know who this guy is, but numbers don't lie.
I'm going to watch tape after this. I am
too.
Impressive.
I'm interested in. All right, so then the final pick of the draft is Kamani Vidal, running back from Troy, Mr. Irrelevant.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, at first it was kind of like worst case scenario, but we were able to, kind of recuperate there a little bit. So, I think we had a lot of fun there. So, it was a pretty solid draft. I don't know if it was like an A draft, but we'll see. But yeah, I think a lot of those guys would be solid for our team.
I mean, personally, I love how you went about making sure you're adding to the offensive line, right? Like, there's no questions about it.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Paul, Christian Mahogany, being thrown into the mix are going to be individuals who could potentially see playtime this year, if we're being honest, right? Like, being behind some of the guys that we have, the offensive line, Christian Mahogany getting to sit behind a guy like freaking Elijah Vera Tucker. You got Patrick Paul behind, either Morgan Moses or a Tyron Smith. Like, these are the kind of individuals you want to sit back and learn. Right now, granted, if they play a full season and we don't wind up going deep into our freaking rotation, that is not a bad thing. These guys got to sit back and watch some individuals that can play at the minimum a Pro Bowl caliber level do their thing. That's a win. So for me, 100%. I thought that was key. We didn't get, the top offensive lineman early on like we were hoping to, but you were able to kind of bounce back. Now the Brian Thomas one for me, I love Brian Thomas. I think Brian Thomas is one of the better wide receivers in this draft in terms of what he brings to the table in terms of size and speed. Now again, like you said, though, I think he's a boom or bust kind of guy, right? But again, with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you got Garrett Wilson over there with him, and then being able to learn with the Mike Williams, you feel the odds are in your favor, potentially being a boom. Great size, great speed. Like, you really can't, those things you can't teach. You can go ahead and teach everything else. So I'm a big fan of Brian Thomas. Lad McConkey was somebody that I definitely am a fan of as well, but unfortunately, he goes in the second round. He was not dropping to the third, but we were able to pick up my boy Malik Washington. I've been pause, but man crushing on this dude, like since we started watching.
Same, yeah. You saved
Yeah,
Honestly, you saved the draft there because I was about to take who was I going to take? Oh, I was going to take Pooney over Washington, and that would have been a mistake. So
I
yeah,
saw
thanks
him, and
Malik
I had
for
to
saving
remind you a
that.
little bit.
Yeah. No, Malik Washington is he really should be. If he's there in the third round, we cannot pass on him in the third round. For sure.
He's easily slot receiver number 1 without question. And again, I think he has the potential to be a number 2 guy. I like the draft. I do. Now, what's crazy is we didn't get anybody that's been pretty much kind of tailored to us in the majority of mock drafts, right? The board fell the way it fell. And this is what wound up happening. Seeing how the top 9 picks fell, I think that, like you said before, is the worst case scenario. We're talking about Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Joe Alt, Brock Bowers at 5, right? Jaden Daniels. Then you got Fashanu at 7. Drake
Fashanu, my boy.
Right? And then Adunze, pick 9, right? And in all actuality, it's possible. It's possible that that's how it goes down. So having to adjust on the fly, picking up a couple of picks by trading back. Joe, there's Ryan. I can go ahead. What email, Ryan, do you want me to send it to you? Actually, can I just do this? Boom.
Yeah, Fashanu. So I know we missed out on Fashanu, but I really do think that he's kind of going to be like a DeBrickashaw Ferguson type player. He actually pulled a muscle when he was running the 40-yard dash at the combine, so he wasn't able to perform all of the individual drills there.
Right.
But I think that this guy's going to be really good if he somehow falls to us. And let's say Roma Dunze isn't there, right? This entire draft could be going completely differently. However, I will say this: no matter how the draft happens on night 1 on Thursday night next week, let's say if that top wide receiver falls to us, or let's say that top offensive lineman falls to us, Joe Douglas did a great job to be able to set us up for success, to be able to do one or the other. And then whatever we don't do in the first round, we'll be able to do in that third and fourth round, which I think is phenomenal. So I really do think that we should have a pretty good draft no matter which way we go, whether we do the receiver or lineman first.
Right. Now, in all actuality, I think for me, the reason why I like the lineman aspect is you saw a lot of those guys we were talking about fall into the third round that have first round, second round talent. So I love the way it wind up. We were able to recover from, again, the worst case scenario when it comes down to pick 10. Every single player that's been mocked to us was off the table. I think you did an incredible job, Mike. I appreciate you. Yeah, man. Tell the people where they can go ahead and get more knowledge from you in terms of what Mike the Stat Guy brings to the table.
Yeah, guys. So, Gunny, I'm really happy to be able to have been a part of this tonight. It was a lot of fun, and I just want to tamper the expectations. I don't want to say I'm some expert and that I know, I'm like this draft expert. I'm not. I'm just a fan of the Jets, and what I love to do is I love to just watch film. Again, like I said, I've been watching combines and watching draft tape for about 10 years now. So, and on the amateur level, but yeah, you can follow me if you want on Twitter or X, Mike the Stat Guy. And yeah, I occasionally post some things there, but yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to continue watching your show, Gunny, and be able to continue watching Ryan's takes and Green Bean's takes and whatnot. But yeah, I'm super stoked to be able to see what this channel has in the future. And yeah, let's go Jets.
Go Jets, brother. I appreciate you, man. I'll be texting you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take care. Have a good night.
All right. So I think y'all thought I was making it up, but Ryan really is here. He and we had conversations. This was already planned for him to come in here after his show. But without further ado, y'all didn't really come here to see me tonight. Hey, my boy Ryan, man, from Jets Tallk 24/7. How are you doing, brother?
Well, it's good, Gunny. Good to be on here talking a little football. I apologize for being late. You sent me the link and I totally forgot where we talked. And I was like, I'm looking through Instagram. I'm looking through Twitter. I was like, I don't remember if this was an email or how this came through. I'm such an idiot.
Nah, brother, I appreciate you. Listen, man, I know you just got off the show. You pulled off, and then you're pulled off on online and then coming over here. So ultimately, man, I think that people just kind of want to hear the offseason, the draft next week. Where are you at right now in terms of what the New York Jets have done thus far and what they can accomplish come next week?
Yeah, so I'm really excited. This is a better offseason than I actually thought the Jets were going to have going into it. I thought retaining Keith Carter was going to be a detriment. I thought, not having, the season, the way it ended, I thought it was going to be an issue. And I feel like my mindset flipped the moment that Joe Douglas traded for Morgan Moses. That was the point where I was like, all right, now we're doing something.
Yep.
This is interesting. This is a better player than I thought any of the other options would be out in free agency. I thought Tyron Smith would go back to the Cowboys, or he was going to be worth like a crazy ton of money.
Yep.
So the fact that we got him on an incentive-laden deal, I am totally cool with paying him like a top left tackle if he's on the field. It's not like the Jets had to overcompensate to get him here. So I do really like how they address the offensive line. John Simpson, didn't know much about him going into it, but very much like what we appear to have gotten for our left guard.
Yeah.
I would say from an offensive line perspective, I do still want to bring back McGovern for depth. I do want, if you could bring in a Bakhtiari or a Donovan Smith or something like that, someone else to provide a little bit more depth on the offensive line, that would make me feel a little bit better, because come draft time, I'm definitely team weapon. I don't really want to go O-line in the first round.
Okay, so you don't want to go O-line. So this is I'm kind of curious, right? Because one of your counterparts in Matt O'Leary kind of did an in-depth breakdown of how the New York Jets offensive line has been in shambles for the last several years, to include the last 5, where we were in double-digit rotations. So you're still, regardless. So let's say a Dunze is off the board, freaking Neighbors is off the board, freaking MHA is off the board. You still want to go receiver? Are we trading back for a receiver, or where are you at with that?
So I do like trade down. I would say we just did our big board, so it's kind of exciting that I could talk about it a little bit more. So in terms of like the main players that the Jets are looking at, like let's not talk about quarterbacks or DNs or anything like that. I would say I am pro trade up for Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. Then my stick and pick at 10, my big board would go Joe Alt, Rome Odunze, Brock Bowers. And then my trade down like players would be Fontenot, Fuaga, Brian Thomas Jr., J.C. Latham, Olu Fashanu, like in that order. So I very much gear myself closer to weapon, but if you can trade down, then I'm more open to offensive linemen, because I do like a lot of the second round wide receivers in this class. I think that's where a lot of the value does lie. I just am skeptical as to whether I think the Jets can actually get the trade down that we all want. I think the Bears, with only having 4 picks, are a cheaper trade up for another team, especially like the Colts. Like the Colts want to potentially come up for Bowers. Why would they be trying to compete with the Jets when they could, give picks to the Bears and jump the Jets and not have to convince us not to take Bowers, if you will. Like, I feel like the Bears are more likely to trade out than the Jets are. And for that reason, I think we stick and pick at 10. And if the Bears do trade out, I do think Odunze is there for the Jets at 10. And that would be my pick.
Okay. So Odunze, I'm 100% on board with that. I've come around to the idea of the move has to be offensive lineman, even though I'm a big believer I'm team O-lineman first. I think that's the route. But Odunze has significantly grown. One of those top 3 wide receivers has literally made me kind of take a stance where I'm looking at it and say, okay, you go that route. You bring in a guy like Bakhtiari to go ahead and pretty much be the backup to a Tyron Smith. I'm concerned about Tyron Smith being able to go ahead and finish an entire season, but between the two of them, I think we can get there. And the interesting fun fact that we learned this offseason is that Tyron Smith might miss games in the regular season, but he doesn't miss games in the playoffs. And that to me is all that matters. So if you bring in one of those top 3 targets, you legitimately got yourself a wide receiver too, while Mike Williams is pretty much, healing from that ACL tear. But imagine having 3 potential wide receiver ones on the field at the same time for a guy like an Aaron Rodgers. He's never in his career had 2 wide receiver or first round wide receivers on his roster. He'd have 3 at this particular juncture. So Aaron Rodgers right now, coming into the building was something that really kind of I think got a lot of individuals rejuvenated. How did it make you feel to hear about our guy coming back into the building to do voluntary workouts?
So it was nice to see Rodgers come back and see him walking into the building. I do think there is something to Bowers visiting on the same day that Rodgers is going into the building. I think there's something to it.
Yep, same here. I agree.
And you know what? I think the Jets have kind of sold themselves on the top 3 wide receivers. And I think the one question mark is Bowers is interesting. If he is that generational prospect that, people are considering, and you think he could be a Kelsey or a Kittle or a Laporta or a, Mark Andrews, something like that. If any one of those 4 wound up in a redraft of their draft class, every person would take them in the top 10. So tight end is 100% worth selecting in the top 10. I think the evaluation process is the worst. And Wild Wave, I see what you're saying down there, saying I'm a little bipolar. Not bipolar. I don't want to trade up. I said I would be all right with a trade up for Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. I prefer not. I definitely prefer the trade down or the stick and pick at 10.
Yeah, don't worry. Nick had your back. Nick was just like, it's not bipolar, it's post-traumatic Jets disorder. And I couldn't agree with him more.
I love it. But that's kind of where the offensive line comes in, right? Like we're all panicked because of how the offensive line has performed the last few years. And to me, the all-important stat is what you mentioned. Tyron Smith is healthy when it matters most. The Cowboys have played in 7 playoff games since 2015, which was the last season he played a full season for. And that to me says he's missing time for a little spot start. Hey, let's rest him this week. Carter Warren playing 3-4 games in a spot start, no problem whatsoever. Totally fine with that. There's ways to neutralize poor offensive line play with an elite quarterback. And I think Brock Bowers or if you go Rome Odunze and you have Garrett Wilson in the slot, all of a sudden you have guys that can get open very fast, free releases or gets open near the line of scrimmage, and now you neutralize that pass rush. So I am a little less panicky about the offensive line. I do have a friend who has reached out to me. He actually owns a card company, like trading cards and stuff in the area, I guess down in either Morristown or something along those lines. And Nathaniel Hackett went in and was with his kids and was trading some different cards in, and he's like, hey, I'm a Jet fan. I'm really excited talking to him about all that stuff. And he's like, what do you think about the draft? And Hackett said the O-line's set. So, yeah. So I was like, all right, that's now maybe he did say it's ultimately Joe Douglas's decision to make, but he's like the O-line's set. So it seems to me he's leaning weapon. He wants the wide receiver. He wants the tight end, whatever it is. Maybe it's trade down and do something different. I don't really know, but it feels to me you have your starting 5. You can build depth outside of that. I think there's a little handshake agreement with McGovern. I would love there to be a handshake agreement with Bakhtiari to come in. But by and large, I do think our O-line is set, and they're going to give Rodgers the one thing he's never been given in Green Bay, and that is a first-round weapon that will be a top 10 pick, and it grows with the Jets. Obviously, the wide receiver, $20-some-odd million a year is what you're saving. Right. That's the value of it. But I would take Bowers if the top 3 receivers are gone, and I wouldn't even think twice about it.
Okay, so Bowers is pretty much option 4 for you at the weapons. Now, are we talking about option 4 in the sense that that's the move at 10, or is it like the wide receivers trade back is your next option, or if we stay there, grab Bowers?
So I would say if you can move down 11, 12, 13, like the Broncos, Raiders, they're duking it out for quarterback 4 or 5. If you can do that trade down, I do think you still wind up getting Bowers. But if there's a situation where you can't trade down, which is what I think is what's ultimately going to happen, we're going to have to stick and pick. I lean weapon with that other position. I think it's going to come down to 3 players. I think it's going to be Fontenot, I think it's going to be Bowers, and I think it's going to be Odunze. And I would just prefer wide receiver, then tight end, then the offensive lineman. But I'd be happy with any one of those 3.
Okay. So it's draft night, right? And let's say Joe Douglas decides he's going to go weapon. What do you expect that next pick would be then in that particular situation? He gets a Dunze, you know what I'm saying? He's a Jet now. The next pick on the board, whether it's him trading back into the 2nd or he stays in the 3rd, what is that next pick to go ahead and really solidify a premium asset for the Jets?
So I do think we wind up shifting our attention to offensive line again. And I do want to go with someone that's a guard tackle kind of hybrid because of the what if with AVT, the what if with either a Tyron Smith or a Morgan Moses. That side of things, like that type of position is what I would like to look for. The Jets did have Kieran Amajenadad or Amagaje. Is that how you say his name? The tackle from Yale, however you pronounce his name. That guy, they had him in for a top 30 visit. So that tells me that is a target roughly in that, end of the 2nd, beginning of the 3rd round. If they were to move up and make some type of move, Cooper Beebe's another one that I think I would look at, someone with some guard tackle flexibility. That's the route I want to go. I don't know if I necessarily have a concrete answer for it because it's weird. The value of O-line in the 1st and wide receiver in the 3rd, I think positionally makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So value. So you would go O-line first, then wide receiver.
I think from a value perspective,
Right.
O-line in the first round, receiver in the third, or in a trade up makes a ton of sense. But I want the weapon because I don't trust Mike Williams to be healthy for the start of the season. And I think that's more critical to our success than having a developmental or drafting an offensive lineman that we hope doesn't see the field at 10. Like that to me feels wild.
Okay. All right. So I how you feel about the new unis, right? Like the new uniforms just dropped. I think I'm excited for it, right? Like in fact, let me go ahead and let me just pop this up real quick and share this with the people, right? Like I don't know if this is the full video, which I doubt that it is. Now that I'm looking at it, but the new unis dropped, and I think Goosebumps is really like the only response you can have about this. The New York Giants did an incredible job. They gave the people what they wanted. You even heard Woody talking about how he heard what we were asking for. He understood what we were asking for, and he wanted to make sure that he provided that. These are our new units. I mean, about like 10 seconds. I'm going to ask you what your thought process is on how these turned out. Man, it was every single time. I just like, man,
Electric. Wild.
I gotta get your reaction. So what? How did you feel when you saw that drop? I think like a couple days ago, and you were able to go ahead and see it for yourself.
Dude, I got chills. It was absolutely wild to see that come out because it was so much different than the last time they announced the jerseys when they have like the runway and they're doing this cringy thing for Chris Johnson and all that. Like, just
Yeah.
I hated it. I absolutely hated the last one. I thought it was awkward when they were doing it. But this one has everything that I wanted. And I like the updated green too. It's a little bit darker. It's almost
Yeah.
like was it hunter green is what the Rex Ryan era jerseys were? That like army green kind of.
Yeah.
I like that deeper, richer kind of green. I thought they did that well. I like the little tweaks that they made to the jet over top of it, made it a little bit more like Concorde-esque, where it kind of looks a little bit more like a plane as opposed to just a point going across the top of it. I love it. It would have been very easy to overlook, but I'm really happy they did the white collar for the green jersey. I think the green uniform with the white pants and the green stripe is just so
Clean.
friggin' awesome. It is so
clean.
clean.
I
It
love
looks so good. And I do think they're going to add the white helmet with the green Jets on the side as the third helmet. I think we're going to get that somewhere around training camp. And I think there'll be like another push of like, oh man, this is wild. Because then you can do a whiteout game and you can do a blackout game. Like there's so many different variations that you could do then.
I'm trying to understand why they didn't even do that. Like release it now. They could because they had the option of doing 3 helmets, right? And they chose not to release the third one. What do you think the holdup is?
My guess is a lot of this stuff was kind of figured out. Like I think they had a lot of things finalized probably like a month ago. And then they shot all the B-roll and everything, and they got everyone kind of in the last like 2 weeks. And I think the announcement of the third helmet only came out recently. So they may not have had like the forethought maybe to have that come into play, or they just wanted to give us an extra thing to be, excited about further on down the line. I would love to see the white helmet. I think if you do that near training camp, that'll also spike interest in jerseys and uniforms, kind of as a second wave to see how it's going to go. Because I think we got the black helmets. We got the black jerseys, but the black helmets were last year, right?
Correct.
So I don't remember when the black helmet was not debuted, but when we knew about the black helmet. Was it? I don't think we knew about it as early as the draft, did we?
No, we did not. I don't think we did.
So that would be my guess, is you probably hear it sometime over the summer as you start to, but we had the blackout game. I don't know. I do think we get the white helmet though.
Yeah, I think the white helmet would be nice. The white helmet with the freaking green face mask, I think, is a must add. You got to go ahead and add that. It's a classic look. It's clean. It's fresh.
Mhm.
We as the fan base, we'll go out, we'll buy it, we'll give you our money, Woody. So just go ahead and do it.
Mhm.
So speaking of classic, right? The quarterback situation of the New York Jets been an issue for us for decades, amongst decades. Zach Wilson is still on this roster, and I know I try to avoid talking about the guy, but at the end of the day, somebody just said don't draft a quarterback in the fourth. So I wanted to get your take on it in terms of bringing in a late rounder, you know what I'm saying, a Jordan Travis type, you know what I'm saying, a Pratt type to come in and sit behind Tyrod Taylor and Aaron Rodgers. Or do you see Zach Wilson being on this roster come start of the season?
So I wouldn't mind seeing Zach on the roster. I don't think it's going to happen. I would be very surprised if it happened.
Okay.
Rodgers did say at one point towards the end of the season or after the season ended that it's up to Zach. If Zach wants to be here, he can be here. I think him not being at the training camp stuff or at the offseason activities, it just feels like it's broken. It's over. Just let it be. They're exploring trade options. I would hold on to his rights. I wouldn't cut him. I would wait until cut down day, the very last day you could possibly do it. And then if no one makes a trade for him, then I would release him. I wouldn't go into the season with him.
Okay,
I
so
do
you would
like,
eat the cap hit and let him go.
yeah, because like I mean, I would go so far as to say I'm willing to pay him the signing bonus, and if you trade him to another team at that point, then it would be 1 year, $1.1 million, and that might be
Right.
easier for another team to swallow. I do think that could happen. I think you could get a better return on him if another starter gets hurt or if someone else's quarterback goes down in some capacity. I think that's the trigger that would get us the most value. Now, I could see a situation where we trade down with the Broncos, and the Broncos want to bring in Zach as their competition to Stidham plus a rookie or something along those lines,
Okay.
and it's just sort of a throw in a trade down. Maybe something like that happens. I am very much in favor of drafting a quarterback in this class. I would say the fourth round is where I start to feel more comfortable doing it. I want to put most of our chips in the Super Bowl, window for the next 2 years. Like, let's not waste a pick that could be valuable to us. But Jordan Travis and Michael Pratt are the two that really stand out to me. Jordan Travis is a little bit more appealing for a different reason. I like Pratt's play style more than Travis's, but I like Travis is coming off the injury. He should be ready for training camp, but that doesn't mean you can't have like a setback that allows you to throw him on the IR and let him get a true redshirt season. Because once you put him on IR, he cannot go back and practice and do anything. So he could be around the facility, he can work out and that sort of stuff, but he can't be with the team like practicing and taking reps away. But that then allows you to carry two quarterbacks into the season, which is what I do think the Jets should do. I liked what they did last year with the two quarterbacks. It's just unfortunate that Aaron Rodgers got hurt. If you have to get to quarterback 3, you're just turning around and handing the ball off to Brees anyway. So I don't care who quarterback 3 is. It could be someone off the streets at the end of the day. But I like Jordan Travis for that reason, because you could IR him. I do also like him because one of our defensive leaders, or one of our guys that's definitely going to be a captain this year, Jermaine Johnson, played with him at FSU. And I feel like there's a little bit of clout that comes with like, hey, my guy's coming in as quarterback. And now the rest of the locker room sort of has this like, yeah, okay, this guy knows ball. Like, we have his back. You always draft a guy, you have their back. But Pratt would be coming in from outside, and we don't have any other Tulane players, not that I'm aware of at least. And I feel like Jermaine Johnson is such a dog that like his word is going to carry a little bit more weight.
I got you.
And I like that connection. Now, that being said, I do like Pratt a lot from a player perspective. I think he's maybe a little bit cleaner of a quarterback, but I like Travis. I think he actually plays similarly to like a Tyrod Taylor. So that little bit of a relationship behind Rodgers could be a really nice, thing to develop.
Okay. I like that. Well, I know I said 30 minutes or about done here. So
it's all right. If you want to keep talking, I'm good to talk.
Okay, cool.
It's totally fine.
All right. So I wanted to go ahead and get your opinion. So before you jumped on, myself and Mike, the stat guy, we did a full 7-round mock draft.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up Jordan Travis. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and kind of get your idea on what you think of how this draft went. So, yeah. Full 7-round mock draft. So for our first rounder, we were able to go ahead and trade back and acquire an additional 3rd round pick
Mhm.
But we went with Brian Thomas Jr. with pick 1. I'm sorry, first round pick 16.
Love it.
You're a fan, obviously. You
I'm,
wanted weapon.
Yep. Yep. I like Brian Thomas Jr. The
Okay,
fact that he's
perfect.
6'3" and runs a 4.3 40, and we're talking so much about Malik Neighbors and like not about the bigger dude is a little bit crazy to me. He's a little bit of a 1-year wonder.
Right.
I think he would have maybe benefited a bit from staying in college one more year, but if he's going middle of the first round, maybe that's a weird thing to argue. I think obviously losing Jaden Daniels probably played a bit of a factor in him deciding whether he wants to come out or go back to school. So it's probably the right decision for him. I love Brian Thomas Jr. in a trade down. He was on my big board top 10, and I think 16 is about as far back as you can fall before you start wondering if he's going to be snatched up before us. So I like that pick there.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so then with our first pick in the third round, one that we traded. I'm sorry, no, this isn't the one we traded for, but pick 72, we got Patrick Paul, U of H offensive tackle.
Yep, I like that. I like that pick a lot. Obviously, I think he's got. Is he the one with 5 years? I might be thinking of Jordan Morgan. But I do like going tackle at that point in the draft. I would be a little surprised if he made it to 72. I do think he's probably a bit more of like a mid-second round pick, tail end of the second round. But if he's there in the third round, I love it. I think drafting a future tackle that could also. So I do like going tackle, but I also like Carter Warren a lot. So I like that we have the 2 1-year contracts in Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses. That sort of allows Patrick Paul then and Carter Warren to potentially duke it out, and then us re-signing one of those two guys potentially next year. I don't know if we bring back both Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith for a second year with Aaron.
I doubt that.
I would be surprised.
Yeah.
And I also don't know if we're going to roll into 2025 with Carter Warren and whatever rookie we take this year.
Okay.
But I like tackle in the third round for sure. And Patrick Paul would be a smooth option for sure.
Okay. Awesome. So far, so good. So with our second third rounder, we got ourselves Malik Washington, wide receiver out of West Virginia.
Oh, talk dirty to me. So I love Malik Washington. I don't necessarily love him in the third round. So I guess that will be my one knock on it. But I do like Malik Washington. When I first heard the Jets were looking into him, and I heard Green Bean loved him like probably a month before we heard that the Jets were meeting with him. And I was like, all right, let me look into this guy. And I was like, wow, this guy's playing like Deebo Samuel. Like, this guy's a little fucking missile. I was like, this is awesome. And then I looked up his fucking metrics, and he's like 5'8", 5'9". I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like,
but he's like 200 pounds of solid muscle.
God, he plays so much bigger than his size. He would be the perfect slot option in like a traditional slot sense. Yep. So I would have no problem going with him. I don't know if he necessarily, like, depending on if we want to run with like a big slot, but I would love to have Malik Washington as like slot A over, a Gibson. I still want Gibson to kind of be a second fiddle type slot. So I like that pick.
Malik Washington, and I had to go ahead and hit the old pause, right? But like, he's like my man crush in this draft. And if we were able to get this kid on our roster, I think the sky is the limit. Like, he reminds me of Steve Smith Sr. I watched this kid's tape, and he, like you said, he plays bigger. He runs angry. He can high point the ball. The dude is a clean route runner. He's competitive as all hell. I love Malik Washington. And again, I think the only reason why this kid is down here in the third, fourth round projections is because he's 5'8". That to me is 5'8". And I think that's the only reason why. But if they just somehow get this kid, third, fourth, I don't care where they get him. If they get this kid, I love what this wide receiver room is starting to look like. You're talking about a wide receiver room with Mike Williams, whoever your first round guy might be, and you add a Malik Washington to it. You're in that top 10 conversation in terms of what your wide receiver room looks like.
Yeah, I think you're feeling pretty confident with Brian Thomas Jr. And then the fact that you still have Lazard and Mike Williams, that like you rounded out your 3 wide receivers, plus having like bonus players that could be studs as well. I think that's wild.
Man, one can only hope. With our first fourth rounder, we went with Christian Mahogany. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't know much about Christian Mahogany. Are you familiar with this guy?
So I'm not super familiar with him. I do like the Boston College offensive lineman historically, so I would be fine with that selection. I don't know if it was Green Bean or Dom C that was telling me that they really liked him. So at this point, I'm totally on board with interior offensive linemen, and I think that makes a lot of sense. AVT, I do still feel like if there is a break glass in case of emergency tackle, I think AVT could be that. Like if they feel Carter Warren can't go and they don't like what's going on with Max Mitchell, I don't see them putting one of those two guys out there just to say AVT has to stay at guard because we didn't want to move him around. Like I think AVT still is going to be that break glass in case of emergency tackle. So
Okay.
I like Mahogany there.
Awesome. So then with the whole conversation with Reed in regards to his contract, are we going to go ahead and re-sign him? Is this his last year as a Jet? We decided to go ahead and take a gamble with our next fourth rounder, Kamal Hayden, high upside guy in terms of the ceiling, athletic freak. He's only at this point now because I believe one of the guys pointed out that he was injured. Broken arm or something like that, which is the reason why he's fallen this far down in the draft. Again, Kamal Hayden, I didn't know much about. I didn't do a lot of research this offseason in regards to defensive players. I've been focused on offense. Do you know much about this kid?
I don't at all, but the rationale for it is something I like because Eccles not under contract next year, Reed not under contract next year. I do tend to think that they're going to allow Reed to play out his contract and leave via free agency next season. And I think we're going to franchise tag Hassan Reddick most likely. So I think Reed is probably on his way out along with Eccles. Maybe they re-sign Eccles to a low end deal and, he competes with, someone else that we either have on the team, through this draft or we pick up through next year. So I do like going cornerback. I think it's a sneaky need for us that we're not, consistently talking about. I think this part in the draft, especially with a trade down, is a nice sweet spot for that.
Okay, good to go. We're in agreement. And then Jordan Travis in the 6th round. Not sure how he dropped that far down. I don't think that's realistic when it comes to the actual draft, but there he was. And we decided to go ahead and go with QB3, Jordan Travis, with the pick 185.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get him that low, I'd be pumped on it. So I've seen him go in the PFF mock drafts, closer to like middle to end of the 4th round.
That's what I've seen him too.
But with NFL Draft Buzz, if you look at his scouting profile, it's kind of all over the map. Some people have him like in the 7th round. Some people have him like top of the 4th round. So it could kind of go anywhere. I mentioned before, I really like the player. I think I'm on board with it. If we come away with Jordan Travis or Michael Pratt, I think I'd be ecstatic.
Okay. All right. So then now we're into the 7th round. We got, again, I can't help you here. So Ryan Watts, pick number 256, double dipped in the cornerback position. Again, at this point, you're in the 7th round. You're looking for some special team help. You're looking at upside guys. This guy's an athletic freak. And Mike, the stat guy, was really high on him. So we went this route.
Yeah, I think high upside, explosive players or guys with questionable concerns, like maybe some off the field type stuff, or maybe like, oh, this guy's harder to coach. Like, obviously like a Zach Kuntz, like athletic freak, that style of pick late in a draft is the kind of pick you want. Cause these guys are like, and you know what? I shouldn't even just say high upside at their position, but like key special teamers you can get in the tail end of this draft. Special teams is going to be such a major part of the NFL again because of the new kickoff rules.
Yeah.
That I think you have to rely on those 11 players are going to be so much more important than they were. And just imagine we are in a crunch time situation and the Jets need a touchdown. I'm putting Breece Hall back there. I don't care. I'd throw Garrett back there. I would put if the injury risk, if it comes out that like statistically it's no different than running an extra play in an offensive formation.
Right.
Breece should be the kick returner every damn time. That's how explosive he is and how hard he would be to tackle. I think you'll see Tyreek Hill returning kicks at some point, maybe not on a consistent basis. Like I think they might slow down.
Spark.
It'll be one of those we need a touchdown or, hey, this is a playoff game. And that'll be sort of how you see it done. But I think the special teams is so important. Getting high upside guys tail end of the draft is really important.
Okay. And then we rounded out the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, with Kamani Vidal. Now, we didn't know much about this guy, but obviously we don't have a running back 3 currently on the roster. Looked up his stats again in Troy. So this is what we did. We just looked it up. This was a chat room pick, right? We weren't too familiar with the dude. And And for some reason, it's not working. But he rushed for like 1,700 yards last year, 14 touchdowns, a 5.6 yards per carry average. He's 5'8", 210 pounds, just a little solid muscle hamster.
Just a bowling ball.
Yeah. So we decided, you know what? Can't hurt. RB3.
Sure.
What do you think about the need for running back right now in terms of our depth chart?
So I would actually, I'm a little bit more on the side of going running back earlier. Now I would be totally game for going Zeke Elliott in free agency and having that strong, I want someone that we can like abuse in short yardage situations that like doesn't have to be Brees. And Zeke does do that for me. The one running back that I think I've fallen in love in this draft is Braylon Allen, the running back from Wisconsin. The guy is not going to be 21 until January 20th of 2025. So he's going to play his entire rookie year under the legal drinking age. And this kid is like averaging 5.6 yards a carry or whatever. Like this guy's an absolute animal. Wow. And he's not the style of running back that can bounce it outside like Brees can. He's definitely a between the tackles type runner, but he is a violent runner. He's a lot of fun to watch. I had him going in the 4th round. So in my most recent mock draft, like my this is what I would do if I was the GM type thing. I had Odunze at 10. I had Kieran Abenijad or whatever as my 3rd round pick, or maybe a potential small trade up. Then I went Jordan Travis, Braylon Allen, and I think loading up on the offensive side, like God forbid Brees goes down, I feel like Braylon Allen and Izzy would be a running back by committee acceptable backfield compared to maybe some other players. But I think we do have to go running back. Douglas has taken one in every single one of his drafts. I would be very happy with taking a running back in this draft.
So the big fella said something about not having an RB2 on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your take on Izzy? Do you think Izzy's potentially somebody that we kind of wasted a pick on, or do you see there's some upside there?
I think there's upside. I don't think I would have him as running back 2. Going into the season, I would like to have a more concrete comfort level because God forbid Brees goes down. I do not feel confident with Izzy being that guy, like at all. So if that's a Zeke, if it's a Kareem Hunt, or if it's a drafted guy, maybe like a Frank Gore Jr. or a Braylon Allen, or Green Bean loves Carson Steele at the tail end of the draft. Someone that could provide another spark. Allen is the one that I've kind of identified as potentially like a home run threat, and giving you the thunder and lightning of Brees and him, I think would be fun.
Okay. I mean, Ryan, bro, I appreciate you, Doc. Amazing insight as always, man. One of the reasons why you're one of the GOATs of Jets content creation. I appreciate you taking some time out, man, jumping on the show with me, chopping it up. This was a blast. You were able to go ahead and give me your opinion of the draft. So if you had to give me a grade on that mock draft, what would be your grade from an A to an F? Well,
how many picks did you get traded like back? Because it looked like you had a 2025 first from the trade down with the Colts. Like that's A+ material in and of itself, if that's accurate. Is that true?
No, we wind up going a different route. Hold on, let me make sure.
Oh, no. I thought it showed at the bottom, like of the players, like the picks that you got in return.
I don't know why this thing is glitching right now.
Maybe I read that wrong. What did you get? Do you know what you got in the trade
so
down?
For the trade down, we got pick 16 and an additional 3rd rounder.
Okay.
And then we did another trade in the 4th round that netted us another 4th rounder and another 7th rounder.
Okay, interesting. So I will say I don't love the trade down to, was that pick 16 and 16. Only getting a 3rd. That I don't love. But for the players that were taken, I would be very happy if that was the Jets mock draft. You get 2 really big time weapons that I like in receivers. I think the tackle is fine, developmental tackle, whichever one you like, totally good with that. Jordan Travis, I think, is a really good swing at a quarterback that has ties to the Jermaine Johnson and the Jets. We had him in for a top 30 visit, so there's obviously some interest there. Okay. And you hit the positions that I think we needed. I think corner is a big need. Maybe I'd toss in safety in some capacity. Maybe one of those corners Watts does have upside.
Ryan Watts apparently played safety, but he can also play corner. Mike the Stat Guy just corrected that for us in the chat.
All right, so that makes me feel better. I do think I would say this is probably, I would call it a B+ draft. I would say my only knock is the 3rd round pick to fall back as far as 16. That doesn't make me feel great.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. There was another pick where I thought we should have gone, where we would have gotten I think it was dropped like to pick 11. We would have got the Minnesota Vikings pick. We would have gotten another second rounder, and I believe a fourth rounder as well. I liked it,
That seemed a little too unrealistic. Like,
but that's what he said. Mike said,
Yeah.
let's if we're gonna do this, let's be real about it. I don't think that's
Mhm.
a real thing, so we went this route. So it made sense. But I'm not gonna lie to you, for the fun of the mock, I thought that's a winning trade right there.
Absolutely. I mean, I think for me, if we could convince like the Broncos and Raiders to kind of duke it out, and one of those teams will throw us a third round pick, and we only have to go back 2 or 3, then I think you get into a situation where you could get Brock Bowers at 12 or 13 and pick up your additional third. And that makes me feel a little bit better. Like there's some understanding of like, okay, you're taking Bowers at 10, maybe it's not great value, but I'm a fan of Bowers. I'm a fan of weapon in general, and I think Rodgers will be able to take advantage of him, even though we have Hackett as our OC, and that's like the panic for everyone. Can you utilize this tight end in Hackett's system? I think Rodgers will find a way.
Okay. Well, brother, tell the folks where they can go ahead and find you.
Yeah, Jets Talk 24/7. If you guys want to, roast me for any of my takes or anything like that, I do my Monday call-in show. 9 o'clock. We do the Talking Jets panel on Tuesdays over on the Talking Jets channel. We have the Monday Talking Jets draft, myself and Dom C, and weekly content, stuff coming out, things like that. I'll give you my opinions on things. Maybe you won't like it, but I'll be honest in my opinion. So there's that.
Doug, I appreciate you, man. Always a pleasure. I enjoy watching your content, so I'll be tuning in as always. Yeah. So again, thanks for being on the show with me, brother. Everybody, thanks for chopping it up with us. It's going on. If it's 10 o'clock my time, I know it's about 11 o'clock y'all time over there, 11:13. So y'all some real ones. Y'all some sickos being up this late playing this game. But I appreciate y'all chopping it up with us, Ryan, brother. Thank you again. Got to have you again sooner than later. And as always, go Jets.